You are listening to Come As You Are, the podcast. My name is Stephanie, and I'm joined by my two friends, Amanda and Tyler. We are a trio of coaches on a mission to ignite a collective movement where authenticity, self-discovery, and purposeful living take center stage. Each episode, we go live in the Kaya way. Kaya is an open invitation to show up authentically and vulnerably. It's a safe space to allow ourselves to be worthy and enough now. It's a celebration of our individuality and diversity. So welcome to the show. We are happy that you're here, and we invite you to join us in today's conversation. Hello.
Hi.
Oh my gosh.
We're back.
Here we
Season
go.
2.
Here we are. Woo!
Y'all, I was like nervous again. Like the intro was playing and I was like, oh gosh, it's been a hot minute since we've done this. I'm nervous. Like the butterflies were real again. It was fun.
I feel it. I feel it in my body. I'm like, my heart's pounding really fast. I'm like, oh my God.
Do you know what's so wild though is that, I mean, yes, okay, we're just going to acknowledge right off the bat, we took a little bit of a hiatus, which is fine. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you just need to go away for a little while, but we didn't go away. We like met every single week while we were away, like to reflect back on season 1, and really like our goals this year is to like up level the podcast and get more people in our Kaya community and everything like that. And so we took time off, but like I feel like we've gotten stronger, the three of us, because of the time off that we've had. Would you agree?
Definitely. Yeah.
It's very
There's
cool.
power in the pause, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited, but like also at the same time, like, what? Like, how is this happening?
It's
I think we are like completely different people now. Some of you who may have watched season 1, you will notice that we have a new layout. Ta-da! So you see us much closer. So one of us has a pimple, you will notice. And also because it's really been a while since we went live. I feel like, yeah, we're like, wow, we're new people. There's new versions of ourselves, and things have happened in our lives, like really good things and some are not so good things. And so I'm wondering, should we maybe kick off by us reintroducing ourselves to our Kaya crew and just share who the heck we are? Maybe you're listening for the first time, so we'd love to give you a tiny, teeny tiny glimpse of who these 3 amazing people are that you're listening to right now or watching. So, Amanda, would you like to kick it off?
Sure. So I'm Amanda, everyone, and really, I'm excited for season 2. But who I am beyond just amazing co-host of this podcast, I am a teen empowerment coach. So what I love to do is to support teens in discovering who they are, what it is they want to do with their lives, so that they can be the most authentic, confident, expressed versions of themselves. That's what I love to do because I know I really struggle as a teenager, and I wish I had someone like me as a teen. And I think, the more adults I meet and they're like, yeah, I wish I had something like that when I was a teenager, I think we all could have used some of that guidance. So you'll see that sprinkled in everywhere. I'm always the one who's like, ooh, teens, yes, let me bring it back to our younger selves. So that's a little bit about me and what I love to bring to our conversations.
Should I go next? I guess I'll
go
go
for
next.
it, Tyler.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. My name is Tyler. I am joining y'all from Fort Worth, Texas. So we are all in 3 different countries. That's what makes our show very unique. Amanda's in Canada, and then Stephanie's in Germany. Sorry for stealing that from you, Stephanie. But so let's see, who am I? That's a great question. I like to call myself an identity coach, and I do life coaching for people. So my whole mission and my whole love in life is to help people really get to know themselves and really get a clear vision of who they are and what they want out of life. That is at the core of everything that I do. It's about taking ownership of your life. It's about going out and living in alignment with who you are and what you believe and what you value. So that's a lot of what I root my coaching in. I also do motivational speaking, and I'm very excited because next week, oh gosh, no, not next weekend, the weekend after, 2 weeks from now, I will be in Toronto competing in the Grand Slam speaking competition. So if you were here for season 1, we talked about that right at the end of the season. I took first place back then, and now we are competing in the Grand Slam in November, so next month, and I'm very excited for that. And I just love coaching and helping people get to know themselves. So that's me.
Yay! Then I guess I will finish it, and you definitely didn't steal my thunder there, Tyler. Thank you for mentioning this. Yes, we are in these very different time zones, and that's really cool. Sometimes challenging, but mostly really, really cool that we can give you these different perspectives, literally, from around the globe. So my name is Stephanie. I am a self-love coach. My mission is to help women to feel really, really good in their bodies, to love themselves, and to connect with their bodies, feel confident and calm in the containers that we were given, and then to go out into the world and do the things they are meant to do. Because I really believe that to live a purposeful life, we got to love ourselves and feel good with ourselves. And then we have all the energy and the power and the empowerment to go out there and do that. I'm also a little bit into speaking. I'm starting that right now. For example, this week I have a new kind of workshop lined up that I'm really excited about. Maybe we can talk about that a little later. But yeah, overall, maybe something that we haven't mentioned yet, I think, is that all of us started in the same coaching school. So we all met because we took the same coaching educational course many moons ago. and yeah, that's how we all met. And this is how this whole journey with the three of us started. Yeah, I think that's it.
I'm getting so emotional.
I know. I was like, wait, y'all, we've been together for a very long time, and it's been incredible now, I think, to open ourselves up and invite more people in. And I really think that's a big focus of season 2, is bringing people into our Kaya crew, as we call it, and building just a like-minded community of growth seekers, of personal development junkies, like anybody who just wants to better themselves and better their lives, and in return, like, better the world. Like, you are our people, and we're excited to have you here. So welcome to season 2. And now I think we're just going to deep dive into our conversations as we usually do. So
it feels so forced right now that you're
I know these like forced introductions. Like, I'm like, okay, let's get through all of that part, and now let's just talk about everything. And we were connecting before the show, and we were talking about, like, gosh, what do we talk about after, like, our little hiatus and where we're at? And the natural topic was new beginnings and what this all means to us. And I think what's really cool is, at least for me, I've got a lot of new beginnings happening right now. So, like, in between season 1 and the start of season 2, I took the leap of faith back at the end of August and went solo doing my own coaching, which has been a major transition for myself, in terms of, like, I'm so out of my comfort zone right now, y'all. I have taken on a, like, very seasonal, like, part-time job because of this, and taking the leap of faith and going out on my own. But also, I was like doing reflection this weekend, and I've never been happier. I've never been happier with where I'm at right now, because I have freedom finally. So what has changed between season 1 and season 2 is Tyler has found some freedom in his life. And yes, I sometimes talk about myself in third person. It's okay. I don't know why, but yes, I have found freedom between season 1 and season 2. And so this really is a new beginning for me as I go out and I step into my world of public speaking and motivational speaking. and stepping into more of like the life coaching role, which is something that I've always wanted to do, but never quite knew exactly how I was going to do it. And now I have a whole thing. So my whole platform is all around helping people come out, and I'm using air quotes here, come out of the proverbial closet, whatever is holding them back from being the most aligned and authentic version of themselves. Like that's what I do as a coach, and that's what I've always done, whether it's be helping people come out of the social media closet, doing more of the marketing kind of stuff, or now focusing more on the life and helping people like step into their full power. And I don't know, I'm feeling a lot of new beginnings right now, and so I felt like that was like a very appropriate topic to like dive into. And I know we're all kind of like taking this as like new beginnings, and I'm curious to know from the two of you, what do you like, what is your vision with this like idea of new beginnings, and where are we going with all of this?
Well, here we go again. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Welcome. Big topic.
Always, always, always. And I think, you know, as much as like this new beginnings, right? It's almost like it's still a celebration, right? Because there's a celebration of the new beginning, but there's also a celebration of like something ending. And I think taking us into season 2 now, like celebrating where we were in season 1 and all the things that happened there. And I don't know, I just think that it's also important in this like reflection process to see where we were too. You know what I mean? Like to have all of it come together, I think is really important to be aware of, right? Because we can get lost in like this and that and all of the things. And I'm like the, you know, that squirrel shiny thing, right? Like, oh, there's something new. There's a new thing. There's a new thing. And we get so distracted by all the shiny new things that we sometimes just need to like sit in where we're at. And I think that's really, for me today, especially like as we kick off season 2, I feel like really just sitting in this, oh my gosh, we are here. And that is, yes, in itself a new beginning, but also, I don't know, it's a weird, I'm like at a loss for words of like how to describe, because it, as much as it kind of is a new beginning for a new season, there's also this part that like, oh, I've been here before. We've done this before. You know what I mean? I don't know. There's like a weird, like there, I don't know how to explain this. Does anybody get what I'm saying? Somebody help me with words here.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I love what you kind of hinted at with new beginnings, to kind of not forget about what you already have and what is already there. And I think that's the celebration about, not about the new shiny thing that you have now, but about what is here already, you know? And I think I'm realizing this for myself right now, like, holy shit, how much is that in alignment with what I'm experiencing this week? Of course it is. That we can so easily forget what we already have. So if we look at our podcast here, we've built this over, I don't know, 1.5, 2 years now. And being able to be here today and being so excited about season 2 is because of all the work we have put in already, like all the meetings we've had and everything that has happened, not just in the last few months where we kind of, upgraded everything, but also what we've done before, and to not to take that for granted, kind of. And I think I've definitely have this pattern. That's why I'm like, whoa, this is so fitting, that I sometimes get so caught up in like, oh no, I need the next thing. I need something new. I need a change. And we're so addicted to the new stuff, to the striving for the next level, that we forget about what is already here, and not acknowledging that. And I think this is what we were saying, Amanda, with like celebrating. We got to celebrate it. We really got to, receive it and just be in awe of what already is. And I'm not just talking about the podcast, but in general, our lives. so that we can also acknowledge and appreciate the new thing. Like, it's not, the new thing doesn't define us, you know, it's like not this like attachment. Oh my God, Tyler's about to explode. It's not about this attachment to the new thing. I think that's, there's so many directions I could go here, but I feel like I need to let Tyler explode a little.
Well, no, and not even, I love, God, I love, first of all, I love being back in the space, because I feel like every time we have these conversations, I just always get clarity around life. And like I really always grow when we're in the middle of these conversations. And as you were talking, Stephanie, and as we were talking about like new beginnings and things like that, it just hit me that it was like, holy crap, we cannot have new beginnings without celebrating the journey that we've been on so far. And I think so often when we want to focus in on the good things, when we want to focus in on the newness, you know, a lot of us always want to kind of forget about the past, you know, whether it be like something bad happened in the past or things like that. But we can't begin anew without acknowledging the foundation that we've built up until this point. And I think that is so important, because oftentimes when we look in the future and we're like, this is what I'm going to go do now, and I'm going to change my direction, and we're going to get more of this and more of that, which is what we spent a lot of time doing over the last couple of months, is thinking about where we're taking the podcast and what our big visions are and everything like that. But we also spent a lot of time reflecting and acknowledging and celebrating the past. And I think when we are in that space of wanting to change or wanting to grow, we think we have to let go of who we were, versus taking the time to acknowledge and celebrate and practice gratitude for who we were, because who we were led us to here, which is now leading us to new beginnings. And so you cannot forget about your past. You cannot dismiss your past. You cannot just ignore the past, because the past has shaped you into the person that you are today. And now, because of that, you can now go out and start something new. And so that was like my big reflection. I was sitting there going, holy crap, we cannot, like, so often we want to talk about new beginnings and like completely letting go of who we were, but no, it's actually, a new beginning is only possible because of the person that we were. And they've allowed us to get to this place of saying, okay, now we're going to start anew. But there's like, I don't know, I'm just feeling now a lot of gratitude towards the journey, because I don't know, for so many years, I tried to dismiss the journey. And I'm not talking just in the podcast, but I'm thinking as a whole, when I look back, I've always dismissed, you know, the little things that I've done over the years. And like, I've never taken the time to really celebrate that. And that's something that I'm recognizing is really important in life, is celebrating the journey and celebrating all of the little steps that you've taken along the way, because they add up to something so beautiful and amazing and big. And I feel like that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And in also this like gratitude for the journey, I think what I want to like throw in there also is this, yes, it's led us to this point, but as I think of what we're doing here, right? And like this come as you are energy, you know, gosh, I've been tearing up this whole episode, you guys. I'm so emotional today. This is so like, but in the best way, you know, it's that feeling of everything sort of almost feeling like it's coming together, or, you know, all the pieces are starting to make sense. I feel like we can all relate to this, right? Where something will happen in our lives that we may want to label as like bad, or, you know, something like this. And then we realize maybe in that moment, but sometimes not, right? Sometimes it's not until later where it's like, oh, wait a minute. That thing is what got me to where I am now. And I think what I want to highlight in that is, yes, absolutely. I love that you're bringing this gratitude to the forefront, Tyler, because I think that is so important. And also where I'm kind of like going in my head is, it is also this like come as you are energy. It's that just showing up in the moment, in all of it. Like just showing up as you are. You don't need to do anything or make it any different, or, even in the challenging times, as long as we just continue to show up, it's enough.
There's just so much power in showing up. Like I think about this, and this podcast has personally made me stronger, because for like, we started season 1 and it was like episode 10 when we finally like when we like pulled the trigger and we were like, okay, we're going live and we're going to do this live. And we showed up from episode 10 to episode 38 live every single time, and did it live. And it was messy and it was imperfect. And even this morning, like we were like backstage, like getting ready, and we were like, okay, we're going to show up 15 minutes early and we're going to have this whole grounding exercise. And then I was like, crap, I forgot to upload the new intro, and like it was a hot mess this morning too. And I was like, well, it's good to know that not, some things have stayed the same. And, but that is that energy of like, hey, it's going to be okay, and if you just allow yourself and give yourself permission to show up. And again, that is our mantra, come as you are. It is a rally cry of authenticity and just being vulnerable and being brave and allowing yourself to just be present in the now, embracing those imperfections, because you like, the imperfections are perfect in the moment, you know what I mean? And I think we look at them and we see faults and we see struggles and negatives, but to me, this podcast and what we've done here and the space that we've created and this mantra of come as you are, it has really allowed me personally to start to embrace the imperfections and to just acknowledge that, like, hey, this is messy and life is messy, and that's okay, because like that's part of this journey. And I think we're always looking for perfection, or we're always looking for it to feel right and be right and things like that. That's just not how life is at all. And this podcast over season 1 and now starting season 2 here, it has been messy and it has been imperfect, and we have made tons of mistakes, but it's through those mistakes and it's through our ability to, again, embrace our namesake of come as you are and just show up and just do it. Like, we've gotten stronger and we've gotten better. And like, I am a different person because we've started this podcast. And I don't think I've ever we've probably reflected on this, but like, it's been a hot minute since we've had that conversation. And so our namesake, come as you are, it means so much to me because it is a daily reminder that, hey, I can just come as I am, and that is perfect. And there's no sort of like shame or judgment or anything like that we've created in this space. Like, we truly are a melting pot of imperfection. And it's so beautiful, y'all. And I'm so grateful to be here in this with the two of you, because that is our larger mission, is that whole movement to like just help people show up as they are and like embrace just the now and embrace that true radical presence and that perfection that is the now.
I was just thinking of like come as you are, and then some kind of funny tagline of as messy as it gets, or like bring all your mess or something like that. That just I was reminded of that when you shared just now, Tyler. And I was also thinking maybe also to give our Kaya crew here a little giggle. Do you want to share maybe one messy example from like season 1 or even the last few months when we went on like our hiatus, where you were like thinking, oh yeah, that's a messy moment, or that's a moment where I'm embracing imperfection? And while you two think about this, I can definitely share. And it was just like 3 days ago when we had our last meeting. I was sitting there and we were working on a logo, like a letter logo for our podcast. and we had decided on like the layout and everything. And we had said, okay, it says Kaya, and then underneath it says the podcast. And the podcast, it was like centered underneath the logo. And so I went on this like questioning, hey, I've seen that some people use it like with right bound and left bound, and I think it should be centered. It should be exactly the same everywhere. And then my lovely co-host, thank God for them, were reminding me that, yeah, life is freaking messy, and sometimes it doesn't look all the same. And just because maybe sometimes we use the logo with like right bound or left bound doesn't mean that people won't recognize that it's our logo. And so I had this really like humble moment there for myself to be like, okay, that's just something I need to let go. And as a, I like to say, recovering perfectionist, that was just a beautiful lesson for me to say, okay, I'm going to just embrace this here, and I'm going to accept that, yeah, sometimes we're going to use the logo like this, and sometimes we're going to use it like that, and just going to be all right. So that was a moment where I really had to embrace the mess, and it felt uncomfortable for me because I was seeing the pictures with the logo differently, and I was like, no, it has to be different. I need to change it, right? So the control, whatever inside of me, the control, I don't want to say monster, the control freak inside of me said, no, you have to change it. It needs to be perfect. And then I was able to rein myself in with, talking to you two and saying, okay, sometimes it can be messy, and no, we don't have to have the logo everywhere perfectly or in always the same way.
Yeah. That was a good moment too, Stephanie, because like you were like, I remember you were like, does anybody else see this? Like, do you see? And Amanda and I were like, no, it's fine. Like, but we all have these tendencies, and I think for me, season 1, like I was the techie person, I was like I edited like the intros and things like that, and so for me, like the hashtag messy moments for me were everything tech, and it was a hot mess express. Like there was times when like the sound was too low, or it was grainy, and again, most people aren't going to notice that. Like, and actually I was talking to a client recently about this because she created an online program, and it was the first iteration of this program that she was creating, and she was so worried because she's like, my audio doesn't sound good, and like the picture's not clear, and like things like this. So all of like that inner head chatter that Stephanie was so totally like doing a great job talking about and personifying there. But like, we have this mindset chatter that is so strong and so loud, but I was talking to my client about this, and I was like, nobody's going to notice that. Like the audience, they don't notice the mess. They don't notice the imperfections. Like, if somebody's scrolling and they see, our Kaya logo, our Kaya words out there, they're not going to know that, it's slightly a different shade of orange than the last, like those little things are so not important, but those are the things that stop most people from taking action and getting shit done, is they're so afraid because it's like not perfect. And in this idea of like embracing the mess is such a great message, I think, for the kickoff of season 2, because this whole podcast has been messy. And Stephanie was like, do you have one moment? And I was like, I got like at least 50 moments of like messy, like this happened, and like we couldn't connect the live stream, and like and then like things aren't working the right way, or we clicked the banner, all of that, and like so there's so much mess in all of it. But I think it's just important to acknowledge that, like, as a society as a whole, instead of like trying to focus so much on making it perfect, where we spend most of our time hyper-analyzing and obsessing over the little details that we never take the actions to get shit done. We have literally done a great job of embracing the mess, and again, just choosing to show up and really lean into that come as you are mentality and acknowledge that. And actually, as I'm sitting here talking about this, I think messy should be one of the values that we have as a podcast, because I think we need to value messy a lot more than what we do. So
yeah. Oh, this, to me, I call this the perfection paralysis, right? Where we get into this like, oh, it's got to be perfect before anything. But anything, any project, any business, anything, any project, it starts somewhere, right? And the only way to get to this like quote unquote perfect is to do it and then figure out, oh, well, that didn't work, or that works better, or, but if we're just stuck in it being perfect, or it always being that perfect shade of orange, that like you don't get anywhere because you're just stuck there. And I can totally relate to this for sure. And not only just in just the podcast, but just in general. This is a space where I feel like I've really grown, is letting go of some of that perfectionism. And I think part of that is there's a certain level of perfect. I mean, just because I want to use that word, but I kind of want to go away from that and say, there's a certain standard, right, that I want to have in the things that I do and the things that I create. And then there's a difference between that and like it being perfect, So I still want things to be like clean and pretty and all that stuff, but it doesn't like get stuck at like, oh, well, it's not perfect, right? Like, oh, that letter is out of place, or, oh, I forgot the exclamation mark, or, those kinds of things. And I think for me, going back to your question, Stephanie, and like, yeah, the messy that I feel like definitely letting go of the perfection and showing up. But I think for me, a big part of that is like this juggling of all the hats, right? Like I'm going to throw in the mommy role, right? And having to show up in that way. And I'm like, we're also a homeschool family. So like I'm doing that. And then I'm like, okay, gotta sign on, gotta, get there on time and, all of that stuff. And the reality of, and it's not just, as a mom, like we all have all these different hats that we wear, and we all have different things that we're doing beyond even podcast, right? And so I think sometimes it's that juggle of like all of the things and all of the roles and trying to make sure none of the balls fall. And like that to me, I think was such a, the hot mess of it. But we're here. We still showed up, right?
Yeah. I have to take a minute because, well, first off, I want to shout out Glaze. Welcome back, Glaze. It's good to see you again. We're glad that you are here. But I'm going to show Glaze's comment here and read this. So it has to be messy before it becomes better. The mess becomes the message.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Like that, I could not have said that better, because I think through the mess we do find the message. I think we find through the mess, I could add another M to this. Through the mess, we find the mission, through the mess, we find the why, like, why are we here? And I think like piggybacking off of what Amanda was saying here around like the standards, to me, that comes down to, what do you value? At the end of the day, like we all have values, or if you don't have values, it's time to get values. Like let's work with a coach. Like, come on, do that. do that kind of work, y'all. Because, it's the values that are going to anchor in your journey and anchor in the direction that you're taking in life. And, I think when we sat down and we started season 1, we didn't really have a direction, like season 1 really was, I think, about us just getting comfortable with like showing up and sharing and doing all of the kind of things. And like season 1, we didn't even talk about it. I have people to have messaged me and was like, I didn't realize you had a podcast. And I was like, well, you didn't, because I never talked about it. I never shared it again. And this is one of my own things, because like, I'm just one of those people that like, I struggle with sharing things, because I'm like, well, who cares? But it's like, I care. So isn't that enough? Like, I care about this. So why don't I share it? Anyway, I'm still working through that. But like, I think when we started season 1, we didn't have a direction. We didn't have values in place. And I think one of the things when we took our little hiatus here, and I'm not trying to dwell in the past, but it is what it is. But we sat down like right after the end of season 1, and we did a whole like vision board thing. And we like sat down and really talked about like, where are we going with this show? And what do we want out of this? And like, it was the first time that we actually got really intentional with the podcast. And I remember even having those conversations being like, guys, this feels different. This feels like this is like work now. And we joked about that and we're laughing about it. But, if you want to go out and create something in your life, it is work. You have got to put in the time. You've got to put in the energy. You've got to be able to craft and get messy. Like, one of my personal values is creativity, and I know creativity is messy. And so when I am creating, I don't want perfection. I don't look for, absolutely like the most masterful masterpiece of anything. I look for, well, that was a hot mess express. Because if I'm truly creating, I know creativity is going to be a hot mess express. And so if I can look back and go, wow, that was a real hot mess express, I know I'm honoring my values. And I think as a team, we did spend a lot of our hiatus really anchoring in our values and anchoring in where we're going with this. And like, season 2 already feels different. Like, we're showing up, we have different camera angles. Like, look, y'all, I'm going to go in a solo layout because like we're doing that now. And we're like up leveling, and we're actually creating social media content and all of these kind of things, because we took like this project went from just being a passion project to now being a mission-oriented, values-driven project. And that is what's really cool about what we're doing here in season 2, is that it's no longer about us. It's about the community, and it's about the audience, and it's about what we hope to actually give to our listeners. And God, I get so excited about that, because, I feel like season 1, we were very selfish, and it was like, this is our little passion project and nobody gets to know about it, and wahahaha. But like, now it's like, I'm ready to shout it from the rooftop to be like, yeah, we're coming in strong, and we are leading a movement of authenticity and the imperfections, and embracing the messiness of life, because that truly is what come as you are means. And like, I just love it, because it is just so beautiful when we really stop to think about it. And I'm just proud. I'm proud of the fact that we have kind of come out. I'm going to use my terminology here. We've kind of come out, and we are truly are coming out as we are. And it's beautiful. And I'm so excited to see where we're going with season 2. And I'm curious, like, as we're kind of, I think, nearing the end of this today, I want to take a minute, because we were talking about the new beginnings, and we ended up going backwards, which we have to. But I am now really curious, what is your vision for season 2, and what do you hope we achieve this season? Stephanie, Amanda, I'll throw it over to you.
What a tiny question, Tyler. Come on.
Well, you know me. That's a signature Tyler question, right? Just really tiny, small question.
I just want to go back also to, and I'm happy to answer that question too, but I just want to quickly go back and say that one of the biggest messes, I'm realizing this now, this is really cool. One of the biggest messes was that we had the very ambitious goal after season 1 to take 4 weeks off to do a retrospective, to reflect on season 1 and figure out what we want to get out of season 2, and get some help for the marketing and the social media stuff and all of that for weeks. And then I think very quickly we realized, oh, maybe that has been a little too ambitious. So we postponed and postponed and postponed. So sitting with that, and this is how I can tell that we have grown so much, that every time we had that conversation of, hey, is it time yet for season 2? Are we finished with the retrospective? Like, where are we at in our little like upgrade for season 2? That we were always so clear on no, like, no, it's a no for now, and we know that season 2 is in the works, and we just have to do a little more, and that this little more and wanting to go deeper and get more clarity was coming from a really beautiful place, like all of us being super clear on the values, on the mission that we have here. And the more we got clearer on this, the more confidence we had that, yes, it's totally fine that instead of taking 1 month, we take 2 or 3 or 4. And it now ended up almost being 5, actually. But we were always so confident. Like, I remember this feeling every time we had the conversation that we knew intuitively, yeah, it wasn't time yet. We still wanted to get a little bit more work done. And it was perfect timing, and embracing that we had anticipated a very different schedule and just letting that be okay. I feel like that was one of the messiest things, actually. And it was okay. We didn't beat ourselves up for not fitting into the schedule and not making our deadlines. We just like played with that. We allowed it to do something with us also. And I think this is where because you mentioned Tyler being so proud, this is where I'm so proud of myself and of our team here to go through this together and realize, oh yeah, screw the timeline. Like, who cares about the timeline, right? Because it's just numbers at the end of the day.
Oof. It's just
so I know.
It's just numbers at the end of the day. I just feel like I had to reflect that, because that is a very powerful statement. Like, everything is just a number at the end of the day, and like not allowing your life to be defined by the numbers, but I think by the feeling, and by the, because we're very numbers driven society and world, and that to me can drive us a little bit insane. But I think what we really did a great job at when we took the hiatus here was that we did allow space, and we really felt into it and went, no, now's not the right time. No, now's not the right time. And we were okay with that. It was like 4 weeks turned into 5 months, and sometimes that just happens in life. Sometimes the timeline that you initially set out for yourself isn't the timeline that you actually need. And if you're too just focused in on the numbers, you're going to miss out on the actual movement. You're going to miss out on the actual, like why the hell you're actually doing this, which is like for the journey. It's for the flow of it all. And so, sometimes I feel like numbers force, and, if you set too hard of like a numbers deadline, you feel forced, and it actually blocks you from getting into flow. And I think for the last 5 months, we were in flow, and we were just kind of in this very fluid movement, and it's very exciting. And so I think that's my vision for season 2, is that we just continue the flow, and we don't force anything. We don't try. I mean, obviously you got to set the goals, and you've got to have some metric driven goals to be able to look at progress. But it's just a number at the end of the day. It's not going to change how I feel about the work that we're doing here inside of the podcast. So if we get, between now and the end of season 2, if we get, 10 faithful followers versus 1,000, like, it's not that doesn't matter to me. Like, the number is less important than like the impact. And I think that's what I'm focused on in season 2, is like coming in and like giving the most value and the most impact, and letting this just be a space of flow and freedom. Because again, that really comes back to our namesake, come as you are. It's that invitation to just come as you are, be free, be yourself. Like it does, none of this has to be hard. And so that's my vision for season 2.
I love that. And you stole my answer.
Sorry.
That's so, like, you hit on so many things. But I think that's the beauty of us, like, as our little trio here. It fascinates me how, again, we're in different parts of the world, right? Like, all 3 of us, we're all in different parts of the world. That even given that there's still so much alignment. And I think taking that to that one step, further and looking at that impact, and to me, this, all the things you just said, Tyler, plus also that impact looking like, continuing to grow that community, continuing to have more touch points with the Kaya crew, and having those interactions to be able to be those examples of what truly does happen when you come as you are. It's incredibly powerful, and sometimes it's hard to imagine. Like, I think of myself like years previous to this, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, if I had an example of someone maybe showing up as they were and just, in the imperfect action and all of the things, then maybe that would have helped for me to, like, I don't want to say go faster, because I feel like the idea here is like we're in flow and we're throwing away the timeline, and I totally appreciate that. But I do think that sometimes when we can have those role models, when we can have that example of what's possible, and that we know that, okay, yeah, maybe it's a little bit scary, but we can see somebody else going first. We can see somebody else doing it, and they're okay. They're actually thriving. Like, things are going really well for them. That is what I would hope to show up as, is to show up as that example for others. Or, I know we've even talked about this before, where there's so many conversations that we have here on the podcast, and it's like more of what we've already been doing, right? Just showing up and having the deep conversations, whatever comes to mind. But I didn't always have that in my life. I didn't always have that place where I felt like I could show up maybe 100% authentic. I could show up and just be with other people and have them get it, have them get where I was coming from, especially in these deep conversations. Like, I'm not a small talker. So being able to, like, come to a space where it's like, here we are diving deep, like, 5 minutes in, and we're already like, 15 layers deep or 1,000 layers deep. And to me, I think that's also like that space that we're creating here for others. And I think this is also like, that impact, but it's that space for others, that permission slip almost for others to do the same, to just show up as they are, to be authentic, to have those deep conversations, and to find their people. And we're here to be those people for other people. This is why we are creating the Kaya crew, right? So I feel like I could go on forever for this. I'm like so fired up. I'm so passionate about this, but I'm going to let Stephanie share, because I know we are going to wrap up, but that's what I would say initially.
Yeah, what Amanda and Tyler said. I just was reminded of something that I experienced earlier today. So I'm currently in like physiotherapy for like an ailment that I have, and that therapist, I had maybe 5 sessions with him already, and today we somehow ended up talking about, I don't know, stuff we watch, right? And he was sharing with me that he watches a lot of anime, and I did that too. And we just like in 30 seconds, like the energy shifted from, yeah, hi, you're here, and how's your pain level and what's going on, to like having super deep conversations where we were just going through the motions of the therapy stuff. Like we weren't even, we were just like not even paying attention really to that anymore. We were both so fired up. I love that you ended with that, Amanda, that the energy, right? Like all of a sudden there was so much energy in the room, and we were sharing about our favorite shows and, how we watched it with friends or whatever. And it was so cool to see. It was almost magical to see. And all of a sudden the conversation had like fairy dust sprinkled on top, and like we forgot about space and time. It was so beautiful. And I just thought to myself, as you two were sharing, gosh, how cool would it be if I would go out there and I would just have a conversation with somewhat of a stranger, and I would share about come as you are. And that person will then share their experiences with like, oh yeah, I love being authentic and it's such an important value of mine. Or do you know about that podcast? They do something similar. And, or I mean, ideally at some point, someone saying, oh yeah, I watched that podcast. Wait a minute, you are from that podcast. I can't believe it, right? And not for the fame or whatever, but just for this like, oh, we're speaking that same language. Oh, we value the same things in life. So for me, season 2 is this connection point with people, like this idea. And I love that you touched on this, Tyler, with like, I didn't really share about, none of us really shared about come as you are in season 1, but now we're like, yeah, we love it so much, and we want to share that with other people. So connection for me is something that I see there as something that I see for season 2, to use this as a really cool and easy piece in conversations to connect with people on a deeper level. So yeah, as I said, everything you guys said plus maybe that.
Yeah.
I just want to give everyone a big hug.
I know. I'm so glad that we're back, and I'm so glad that we are here doing this. And I think I'm just gonna end it with like, stay tuned, y'all. Like, this is just the beginning of season 2. We are so excited to have all of you joining us on this journey. And I'll just end it with embrace the mess, because I think that was a big conversation of today's topic, is like, embrace the mess, embrace the imperfections, and just find joy in the journey and the flow and the creativity and all of that, because that's really at the heart of it. Like, that's exactly why we created this space and this reminder to come as you are. And so we hope that you continue to come as you are and continue to follow us on our journey of authenticity and just embracing the mess and being present and all of that good stuff. So we will see you next week for episode 2, and be sure to please give us a review, like thumbs up, comment, all of that stuff. I don't even know how they do that, the real podcasters, but like, leave a comment, share, I don't know, subscribe, whatever that spiel is. And we will see you all next week. Thank you all so much for being here. We love you.
Thanks so much, everybody. See you next time.
Thank you. See you next week.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Come As You Are, the podcast. You can follow the show on Instagram at Kaya the Podcast, and on YouTube and Facebook by searching Kaya the Podcast. If you haven't already done so, please help us keep the conversations going by subscribing, rating, reviewing, and sharing this podcast. And be sure to join us next time for another deep conversation.